We all carry a secret, a story we never tell, a wound we never show. It's the moment we walk into a room, and that silent, unblinking surveillance begins. You feel it, don't you? That instinctual shift, that quiet calculation in the eyes of others. They're not judging you, not yet. They're scanning you, measuring your worth, your threat level, and your vulnerability. We've been taught to call this sizing someone up. But the truth is, it's far more brutal than that. It's a primal act of self-preservation, a desperate attempt to answer the three core questions we all ask in our subconscious minds. Can I trust them? Can they harm me? And what can I get from them? Now, we do this instinctively, a remnant of a bygone era when a single misjudgment could cost us our lives. We've sanitized the process, dressed it up in politeness and small talk, but the animalistic core of it remains. We smile, we shake hands, we offer compliments, all while our brains are running complex algorithms to map out the territory. The handshake is a test of dominance. The small talk is a probe for weaknesses. The casual eye contact is a measure of confidence. And here's the most terrifying truth of all. We are all, without exception, being read. Our every gesture, our every silence, our every flicker of the eye is a data point for someone else's analysis. We like to think of ourselves as complex, as unique, as impossible to categorize. We are masters of our own narratives, the heroes of our own stories. We meticulously craft the masks we present to the world, the curated versions of ourselves we believe others will admire. But what if all that effort is for nothing? What if the real you, the raw, unvarnished you, is being seen, felt, and understood in the very first minute you meet someone, long before you even have a chance to speak? What if you are being judged not by the lies you tell, but by the truths you desperately try to hide? This is a lesson from a man who understood human nature in its most raw, unforgiving form. A man who saw through the veil of politeness and saw the dark, pulsating heart of ambition, fear, and desire that beats within all of us. His name was Machiavelli, and he wasn't a philosopher in the traditional sense. He didn't seek to understand the good in humanity. He sought to understand the reality of it. He believed that power was not a gift bestowed upon the virtuous. It was a skill, an art form, a science. And at the very core of that science was the ability to read people with surgical precision, to see the fault lines in their character, the hidden motives behind their smiles, and the deep-seated fears that drove their every action. This isn't about becoming a master manipulator. It's about becoming a master of your own domain. It's about protecting yourself from those who would use these very tactics against you. It's about understanding the game so you can stop being a pawn. It's about peeling back the layers of your own performance to discover who you truly are. Because the first step to mastering others is to stop being a mystery to yourself. This is where the lesson begins. This is where we learn to see the world, not as we wish it to be, but as it truly is. We are all born with an innate ability to read people. The problem is, as we get older, we unlearn it. We replace instinct with politeness. We trade raw truth for social pleasantries. Think about a baby. A baby doesn't need to be told who's kind and who's not. They feel it. They sense the subtle shift in a tone of voice, the forced nature of a smile, the tightness around the eyes that betrays a person's true feelings. A baby cries in the arms of a person who is secretly agitated, and they smile for the one who is genuinely calm. They're not being rude, they're just being honest. And somewhere along the way, we lose that honesty. We're taught to ignore our gut, to trust the words over the feeling. We start to believe that what people say is more important than what they do, and we end up in a world full of ghosts. We surround ourselves with people we think we know. We have friends, colleagues, and even partners, but we're often only engaging with the masks they wear. The friendly colleague who smiles at you but talks behind your back. The partner who says they love you, but only shows up when it's convenient for them. The family member who offers you advice, but secretly wants you to fail. We see what they want us to see, and we ignore the subtle, chilling dissonance between their words and their actions. We tell ourselves, they're just having a bad day, or they didn't mean it, because it's easier to believe the lie than to face the terrifying truth that we don't know the people closest to us at all. This is the problem we all face. It's the constant, gnawing anxiety that we are surrounded by people with hidden agendas. We walk into a business meeting, and we feel a cold knot in our stomach, wondering who is really on our side. We go on a first date, and we're so busy trying to impress the other person that we fail to see who they truly are. We spend a lifetime in a state of quiet paranoia, trying to figure out if people are for us or against us. And we are constantly losing the game because we're playing it with the wrong rules. We're waiting for the grand betrayal, the big moment that will reveal their true nature. But we're missing all the tiny clues that are already there, flashing like warning signs. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He lived in a time of constant betrayal, shifting alliances, and brutal power plays. For him, reading people wasn't a party trick. It was a matter of survival. He wasn't interested in the masks. He was interested in the person underneath. He believed that the surface is never the truth. Every smile could be a performance. Every handshake a test. Every compliment a veiled threat. And he developed a set of tools, not guesses, to see through the charade. These were psychological tactics designed to read anyone's character, motive, and hidden weakness instantly. He knew that the only way to protect a throne was to understand the hearts of the people who sought to claim it. He saw people not as noble beings to be admired, but as complex code to be cracked. And for him, the first step in cracking that code was to stop listening to what they said and start observing what they did. This isn't about becoming a cynic who trusts no one. It's about becoming a realist who understands everyone. It's about gaining an advantage, not for the sake of power, but for the sake of peace. Because when you know who you're dealing with, you no longer have to live in fear. You don't have to worry about betrayal because you've already predicted it. You don't have to wonder about motives because you've already seen them. This is the moment you stop being the ghost in the machine and start becoming the one who can see the machine for what it is. The first tactic is deceptively simple, and yet it is the one we most often overlook. Forget how they treat you. That's a performance they've rehearsed their entire lives. Instead, watch how they treat the invisible. The waiter who serves their coffee, the intern who holds the door open, the janitor who cleans up after them, the person with no power, no status, no leverage. Machiavelli taught that power corrupts weak minds silently, and when someone believes they're safe to reveal their true nature, they will always show you how they plan to treat you once your value drops. Think about the last time you were at a restaurant. A friend orders their meal. They smile at you, a picture of charm and grace. But when the waiter brings the wrong dish, the mask slips. The subtle sigh of impatience, the curt, almost condescending tone, the way their eyes never quite meet the waiter's. That's the real data. That's the unfiltered truth. The kindness they show you is a transactional kindness, a currency of social approval they're willing to spend to get what they want. But the contempt they show to someone with nothing to offer, That's their default setting. It's who they truly are when they believe no one who matters is watching. Respect toward the powerless is a more accurate signal of character than kindness toward equals, because there's no incentive to fake it. There's no gain. There's no social reward. It's an act of genuine character, a quiet testament to their integrity. A person who can treat the CEO with the same respect as the intern is a person who understands that dignity is not a matter of status. They are someone who sees the human, not the title. And those people are rare. The second tactic is to silence them and watch their mask slip. We live in a world of constant noise. We fill every awkward pause with a story, a joke, or a nervous laugh. People fear silence not because they enjoy talking, but because they fear being seen without distraction. Silence is a form of pressure, and under pressure, people reveal what they never intended to say. If you want to read someone quickly, speak less than them. Say nothing. Pause longer than is comfortable. Make your silence louder than their words. I've used this countless times. I'll ask a question, and instead of responding immediately to their answer, I just wait. I hold their gaze. I let the silence hang in the air, thick and heavy. The first time, it feels like an eternity. They'll fidget. They'll repeat themselves. They'll try to fill the void with more information, with details they didn't intend to share. They'll betray their fears, their anxieties, their true motives. And in that moment, I see who they really are. Silence is not absence. It's a surgical tool that cuts through the noise and forces them to reveal the truth they're trying so hard to hide. The third tactic is a brutal one of Machiavelli's most chilling. Offer them nothing and see what they do. Give them no approval, no affection, no benefit, just your presence. Detached and unreadable. Why? Because people will always treat you based on what they can extract. When you offer nothing, you see their default programming. Do they grow colder? They were only warm for gain. Do they try harder? They're insecure and crave approval. Do they stay neutral? They have emotional control and might be dangerous. The less you give, the more they reveal. It's a test of their true nature, a way to see if their kindness is a genuine act of giving or a calculated investment. Some people speak in polished scripts. They've rehearsed their charm, their vulnerability, even their honesty, all to manage how others see them. Machiavelli knew this kind of person is the hardest to read, unless you break the script. How? Ask a question they don't expect. Interrupt their joke with silence. Respond to flattery with suspicion. Change the subject when they're building momentum. When their performance is interrupted, they stumble. And in that stumble, you see who they really are. I once met a man at a party who was a master of the polished script. Every sentence was a carefully crafted anecdote, every laugh perfectly timed. He was building up to a story about a recent business win, and the entire group was captivated. But I wasn't. I was watching. I saw the subtle way he scanned the room for approval after each line, the way he seemed to be performing for an imagined audience. So, I interrupted him. Not rudely, but with a question that had nothing to do with his story. "That's an interesting point," I said. "But what do you do when you lose? When a deal falls through and you have nothing left to prove?" The room went silent. His smile faltered. For a split second, a raw, naked panic flashed in his eyes. He stumbled over his words, his confident posture collapsing in on itself. The script was broken, and the real man, the one who was terrified of failure, was briefly exposed. This is the fourth tactic. Interrupt their control pattern. When their performance is broken, they fall back on their instincts, and their instincts are always more honest than their words. The fifth tactic is to test their loyalty with small losses. We often wait for a grand betrayal to learn someone's loyalty. But a truly Machiavellian mind engineers the test. Say no to a small request. Deny them a favor they expected. Withhold attention for a brief time. Then watch. Do they remain respectful? Or do they begin to criticize, to distance themselves, to gossip? Machiavelli believed that loyalty isn't how people act when they win. It's how they react when they feel denied. The smallest no will reveal the largest truth. I saw this with a business partner once. He was a picture of loyalty when things were going well, always praising my ideas, always quick to agree. But when I had to turn down one of his proposals, something small and insignificant, his entire demeanor changed. He became withdrawn, passive-aggressive, and I heard whispers that he was talking about me behind my back. The small loss revealed that his loyalty was conditional, a transaction based on mutual gain, not a true connection. The sixth tactic is to measure their focus, not their words. People lie, but their focus doesn't. While they talk, observe what they pay attention to. Do their eyes dart toward powerful people? They crave status. Do they ignore low-status individuals? They respect only advantage. Do they check their phone while speaking with you? You're a placeholder, not a priority. Machiavelli didn't listen to words. He tracked attention. Because attention is investment, and where they place it tells you everything they value and everything they don't. I've been in meetings with people who were telling me how important a project was, all while their eyes were glued to the powerful CEO across the table. Their words were a performance, but their focus was the truth. It told me that the project wasn't the priority. Gaining the CEO's attention was. These tactics aren't about being cruel. They're about being a realist. They're about learning to see the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. This is the part where the lesson shifts. Up until now, we've been talking about how to read others. But the real high-stakes game is what you discover about yourself in the process. This is the moment where you confront the most dangerous opponent you will ever face, the man or woman in the mirror. Because when you start to see through everyone else's facade, you can't help but become hyper-aware of your own. You start to notice the little performances you put on, the masks you wear, the little white lies you tell to manage the perceptions of others. And it's a terrifying moment. It's the moment you realize you've been playing a character your entire life, and you're not entirely sure who you are without the script. This is the psychological climax, the internal wrestling match that every truly insightful person must face. You've just spent time observing others, picking apart their weaknesses, their insecurities, their hidden motives, and then you turn that same scalpel inward. You start asking yourself the brutal questions. Why do I act a certain way around people I want to impress? What am I trying to hide with my silence? What am I afraid of when someone says no to me? The very tactics you use to analyze others suddenly become a mirror, reflecting your own vulnerabilities. You see the ghost you've become, a collection of habits, defenses, and reactions that have nothing to do with your true self. Machiavelli understood this. He knew that true power wasn't just about reading others. It was about self-mastery. He believed that the mind that cannot be influenced by others is the mind that cannot be influenced by its own lies. And the most dangerous lie of all is the one you tell yourself. The lie that you are different, that you are above the game, that you are the one who is truly in control. Because the truth is, when you're busy analyzing everyone else, you're creating a distraction from your own inner chaos. You're using your mind as a weapon against the outside world, so you don't have to confront the battle raging within. So, let's try a thought experiment. A brutal, honest one. Think about the last time you felt a flicker of envy when someone else got a promotion, or a compliment, or a piece of good fortune. That tight smile. That instant redirect of the conversation. That's a signal. Now, ask yourself, what does that flicker say about you? What insecurity, what fear of not being good enough is it revealing? This is where the real work begins. This is where you have to be willing to sit with the discomfort of your own imperfections, to acknowledge your own dark side, to admit that you are just as flawed, just as insecure, and just as capable of deception as anyone else. This is the breaking point. The moment of truth where you either retreat back into the comfortable lie of your facade, or you take the brave step forward into the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are. This isn't a game of observation anymore. It's a test of character. It's the moment you have to decide if you want to be a master of others or a master of yourself, because you cannot be both. The path of true self-knowledge is a lonely one, full of difficult truths and uncomfortable moments. But it is the only path that leads to true freedom. And that freedom isn't found in controlling others, but in letting go of the need to control anything at all. There's a silent war raging inside you. It's the battle between who you are and who you pretend to be. And the moment you begin to apply these Machiavellian tactics to yourself, that war becomes a high-stakes, terrifying reality. You start to see your own cracks, the emotional fault lines you've spent a lifetime papering over. This isn't just about observing others anymore. It's about making a decision. Do you double down on the performance, building a stronger, more impenetrable mask? Or do you make the terrifying choice to let it all fall away? This is the ultimate deception, the grand illusion that we've all bought into. The belief that we can manage our lives, our relationships, our reputations, by managing the perceptions of others. But the truth is, the only person you are truly deceiving is yourself. You are living in a self-made prison of your own making, constantly on guard, constantly filtering, constantly afraid of being seen for who you really are. This is the decision point. This is the moment you have to choose between a life of constant performance and a life of brutal, unfiltered truth. The decision is to stop the game, to stop playing the character you created, to stop worrying about who you are in the eyes of others. This is the hardest decision you will ever make, because it means giving up the illusion of control. It means acknowledging that you are not a puppet master, but a puppet yourself, dancing on the strings of fear, approval, and expectation. The weight of that realization is crushing. It can send you into a spiral of anxiety, of self-doubt, of raw, naked vulnerability. But this is the only way forward. You have to break down to build back up. You have to lose yourself to find yourself. I've been there. I've had to make that decision. I spent years in a state of quiet paranoia, analyzing every person I met, constantly on the lookout for a hidden agenda. I thought I was becoming a master of reading people, but the truth was, I was becoming a master of self-deception. I was so focused on their masks that I forgot I was wearing one of my own. I was so busy looking for their weaknesses that I never saw my own. And it was exhausting. The constant vigilance, the fear of being outplayed, the feeling that I was always one step behind. It was a suffocating existence. And so, I made the decision to stop running the algorithms, to stop calculating motives, to stop living in a state of constant strategic warfare. This decision is not a passive one. It's an active choice to be vulnerable, to let your guard down, to accept that you will be hurt, that you will be deceived, that you will be disappointed. But it is also a choice to live in the moment, to connect with people on a raw human level, without the filters, without the masks, without the fear. This is the decision that leads to true freedom. It's the decision to trade the illusion of control for the reality of peace. And once you make that decision, everything changes. The people who were only there for gain will fall away. The people who couldn't handle the real you will leave, but the ones who remain, the ones who stay, those are the people who are truly worth keeping. They are the ones who see you for who you are, flaws and all, and love you anyway. This decision is not about giving up power. It's about claiming a different kind of power. The power of authenticity, the power of being whole. This is the grand reversal, the moment the entire story flips on its head. Everything you've just learned, all the tactics, all the brutal truths, they aren't meant for you to control others. They're meant for you to free yourself. The most profound, most dangerous truth Machiavelli understood wasn't about manipulation. It was about liberation. He knew that the only way to stop being a pawn in someone else's game was to see the board for what it was. And the most shocking part of the whole game, the most powerful person on the board is the one who chooses not to play. We were told that Machiavelli's lessons were a guide to power, to dominance. But what if they were really a guide to freedom? What if the ability to read someone so completely, to see their hidden fears and insecurities, isn't a tool for leverage, but a tool for empathy? Think about it. When you truly see someone for who they are, all their flaws, all their pain, all the reasons they put up their walls, it's not a moment of strategic advantage. It's a moment of profound sadness. You see the ghost they've become, and you realize that you don't want to become that ghost yourself. This is the ultimate twist. The entire time we've been talking about reading others, we've really been talking about a radical act of self-preservation. You learn to spot the manipulators, not so you can manipulate them back, but so you can avoid them. You learn to see the insecure, not so you can exploit them, but so you can understand their behavior without taking it personally. You learn to recognize the lies, not so you can expose them, but so you can protect yourself from their poison. The knowledge isn't a weapon to be used against others. It's a shield to be used for yourself. The final two tactics, the ones Machiavelli used to protect thrones, were never about control. They were about setting a scene that forced the truth to come out without him having to chase it. They were about creating psychological pressure, not to bend someone to his will, but to see if they were trustworthy in the first place. For instance, the tactic of revealing a small invented weakness. This isn't a ploy to get them to reveal their own secrets. It's a way to see if they are the kind of person who would exploit a perceived vulnerability. It's a test of character, not a tool of manipulation. This is the great secret that no one talks about. The ability to read people deeply doesn't make you more powerful over them. It makes you more powerful over yourself. It allows you to walk away from the people who will only bring you down. It allows you to build genuine connections with the people who are truly worth your time and energy. It allows you to stop living in a state of quiet anxiety and start living in a state of genuine peace. Because the game isn't about winning. It's about not having to play at all. This is the moment you stop being a variable in someone else's equation and start becoming the one who writes your own. This is the ultimate lesson. The path of true mastery is not about becoming a Machiavelli, but about becoming a Stoic. You've learned how to read people. to see their hidden motives and fears. But the highest level of insight isn't in what you see in others, but in how you respond to yourself. The Stoics understood that true power lies not in controlling the external world, but in mastering the internal one. They knew that the only thing you truly have control over is your own mind, your own actions, your own character. And this is where the two philosophies, Machiavellian and Stoic, converge in a beautiful and unexpected way. You've just learned to see the world as it is, full of insecure people, performers, and those with hidden agendas. The Machiavellian in you might be tempted to use this knowledge for gain, to manipulate, and to control. But the Stoic in you knows that true peace comes from acceptance, not from dominance. The Stoic understands that when someone lashes out, it's not a personal attack. It's a reflection of their own inner turmoil. When someone lies, it's not a betrayal of you. It's a betrayal of themselves. And when you learn to see the world through this lens, you stop reacting with anger and start responding with calm. This is the final, most valuable lesson. Use your ability to read people not as a weapon, but as a compass. Let it guide you toward the people who are authentic, who are kind, who are honest. Let it steer you away from the people who are only interested in what they can get from you. This isn't about becoming a master of others. It's about becoming a master of your own life. It's about choosing to live with integrity in a world full of pretense. It's about choosing to be whole, even when you know that others are broken. So, go out into the world with your new eyes. See the quiet acts of kindness. See the genuine connections. See the people who are so comfortable in their own skin that they don't need to perform. And when you encounter the liars, the manipulators, and the phonies, don't try to outplay them. Just walk away. Because the ultimate victory is not in winning their game, but in refusing to play it at all. You've now been given the tools to understand human nature at its deepest level. But remember, with deep insight comes a profound responsibility. Use this knowledge to build, not to destroy. Use it to connect, not to control. And most importantly, use it to free yourself. The journey doesn't end here. The path of wisdom is a lifelong pursuit, a constant process of learning, unlearning, and relearning. And if you're ready to continue this journey, to explore the timeless wisdom of those who have walked this path before, I invite you to join our community. Summary: the journey through Machiavelli's 15 psychological tactics has revealed that the game of reading people is not about gaining power over others, but about gaining control over oneself. We began by exposing the raw truth of human interaction. We are all constantly being scanned and judged, often by instinct. We then delved into specific tactics, like watching how people treat the powerless, using strategic silence, and offering nothing to reveal their true motives. We saw how these tactics, when turned inward, expose our own insecurities and deceptions, leading to a crucial moment of self-reflection. The grand reversal revealed that the true purpose of these tools is not manipulation, but liberation. By seeing others clearly, we learn to protect ourselves and choose our relationships wisely. The final lesson shifts the focus to Stoicism, teaching us to use this newfound insight as a compass, not a weapon, and to prioritize internal peace over external control. The ultimate power lies not in winning the game of perception, but in refusing to play it and choosing to live authentically. If this lesson has resonated with you and you're ready to continue your journey toward self-mastery and a life of purpose, consider joining us. Subscribe to our channel, The Stoic Philosophy, for more videos on ancient wisdom, modern living, and the path to a more meaningful life.
Thank you for watching this video here on the Stoic philosophy. If you found value in this, I invite you to explore more videos on the channel. There's so much more wisdom to uncover. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.